Hello everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews. Let's go see what's in the fridge today. Hello everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews today. Thanks a ton for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Today's beer is Dr. Presley from Proclamation Ale. We did one of their beers yesterday. This comes to me by the way of Brother Greg, and he writes on this, and Dr. Presley from Proclamation. This is a contribution from his friend Brian, who sent yesterday's beer, or picked it up, and Greg sent it. And Brian has picked up stuff and had Greg send it to me before. So Brian, thanks again. I do appreciate it, sir. He says he thinks this is supposed to be like a popular soft drink. He said, I can't think of what it might be. Well, does that look like Dr. Pepper label to you? It says Dr. Presley instead. Same color label, you know, that maroon reddish ruby colored label. I mean, they're getting away with a little bit there on that, but hopefully it tastes a little bit better than a Dr. Pepper. I do like Dr. Pepper. I don't drink soft drinks anymore, but very reminiscent of the color and what they've named this beer for a Dr. Pepper. I have seen and read reviews on this beer that not quite to the super dark black colored stout. We shall see here in just a minute. Let's jump over in Proclamation. These guys are up in Rhode Island, and like I said yesterday when I did the beer, they don't date their stuff. I wish they would, at least put a vintage on it or something, but it probably is a brewery only release. If it's distributed, it ought to have some kind of dating vintage or something like that on this style. Now if it's an IPA or double IPA, it ought to have a month and a year on it. But being a stout at 10.2%, we don't have the IBUs. I don't think Proclamation gives that information out. The commercial description on the tap says, with cherry, vanilla, cinnamon, anise, coriander, and lactose, which means it's been brewed with lactose, and that's an unfermentable sugar that leads to a nice sweetness on the back end. Said these blend into a very familiar taste that we can't quite put our finger on. So maybe they've got something that tastes similar to a Dr. Pepper. I don't know. We're going to find out. So no IBUs, no date on it, brewery only, or brewery purchased. I don't know if it's only or not. 10.2%. So once again, thanks to Brian for picking it up and to Greg for getting it to me. I am a big fan of Proclamation beers, so I don't know what their distribution is, if it is any, or if everything is brewery only release. So that's it. Let's get it open. Big 16-ounce can. And see what we have here, guys, if it looks like Dr. Pepper. Well, it's not super black, but it's fairly dark coming out. We're going to stand it up here and get a more aggressive pour on the back end and see what kind of head it produces. Not a whole lot. About between a quarter and a half a finger of head on that pour. Looks pretty dark in the big bulb part of the glass. Over into the light, there is some red rubbiness around the thin part down here. A little darker than what a Dr. Pepper would be, I think, but looking at the thin part of the glass, it looks a lot like a porter instead of a stout, because there are some red ruby tinges of light coming through. To the nose we go. I am getting the roasted malt. Maybe a slight hint of vanilla and cinnamon. Not a super sweet smell, but some inclination. There's some lactose being used in this beer. So, other than the malt, Not getting a whole lot on the nose, but it's cold right out of the fridge, so we will definitely let this come up to room temperature like we always do. Let's give it a whirl, see what we got. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Greg and Brian. Thank you both. On the taste, I'm getting a little bit slight, subtle hints of coffee. Not a big cinnamon or vanilla. Basically what I'm getting cold out of the fridge here is roasted malt. Maybe a slight hint of some molasses. Maybe a slight characteristic, it's very subtle, hints of some cinnamon, but it's not overpowering at all. Alcohol is well hidden for a 10.2%. Nice sweetness to the back end like a soft drink would have, but being brewed with lactose, you're going to get that most of the time. Pretty tasty. Pretty tasty. Decent beer. So let's let this warm up and sip on it for a little while, and let me get the back end pour in there. I don't think it's going to change anything at all. So there it is, guys. We're going to sip on this for a while, 45 minutes to an hour, and see if we get anything different, or if some of those other flavors of vanilla and cinnamon gets more intense, and see what we end up with. I'll be back and we'll give it a grade. Alright guys, I'm back. Been sitting on about 45 minutes to an hour. Very nice placing is up on the glass. Very well made beer. Alcohol is very well hidden. Excuse me. Woo! That went down the wrong pipe almost. I found it an excellent beer. Don't think it's to the 10 category, maybe not even to the A category. But very decent, very well made. Now that it's warmed up, I am getting more of the cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla, roasted malt. Very enjoyable beer, guys. To me, though, with what I'm drinking here and that, it doesn't have the mouthfeel. It's a little on the thinner side, and so the Imperial Stouts being more of a medium to full body mouthfeel on this beer. Very reminiscent of a Dr. Pepper. I'm getting that same kind of taste or burp from the beer that I do when I have drank these beers. I mean that soft drink before. Looks more like a porter than a stout to me, guys. Which again leads to the thinner mouthfeel than your heavier, thicker Imperial Stouts. And they can call it whatever they want to. If they wanted to call it a porter, they could have. They could have called it an Imperial Porter. Because it's not that super heavy, dark looking beer in the glass, and the mouthfeel is not quite there either. But it is very enjoyable. I would probably buy this beer if I could get it here, but I don't think it's to the A or the A plus category. A- for me, guys. I'm going to give it a 92 from this, and we're going to do the final chug. I usually don't do that till I do the final chug, but don't think that's going to change my opinion. Final chug. The roasted malt is there. Not so much coffee now than I was getting all that, because I've been drinking on it for a while. Slight hints of some cinnamon, not overpowering whatsoever. Alcohol super well hidden with the lacing on the glass. A well-made beer. I would like to see them put some kind of vintage or date on their cans, but I understand why they not if this is an brewery only release beer. So A- for me, 92. Over to Beer Advocate, they say 3.59. That's in their B range, guys. Not even to the B plus. So I'm definitely giving it a better grade than those guys are. And over to Untapped for our final check-in, they have the 3.95. That is in their B plus range, almost into their A minus category. So all over the place there. We got a B, we got a B plus, and for me, you're getting an A minus. And the only reason because of that, it's a well-made beer. Proclamation does some awesome stuff, and this is pretty tasty. It's a very, very tasty beer. So if you've had this one from Proclamation, this is their Dr. Presley. Very similar characteristics from Dr. Pepper. I'm getting that same kind of notes from this beer that you do from the soft drink, especially when I have a burp or a belch from the beer. Kind of getting the same flavors or notes in the nose. I know that probably sounds pretty gross, but decent beer, guys. That's what I'm gonna say. Don't think it's an A or an A plus beer for me. But it is a very tasty beer, and the alcohol is super well hidden. If it had a date on it, I would probably buy this beer because it's a tasty beer, and it's a 10.2%, and the alcohol is super well hidden, which tells me it's a well-made beer. I do, when I purchase Imperial Stouts, I do like that heavier, thicker, creamier mouthfeel than what I'm getting from this. So, if you've had this on Proclamation, they're Dr. Presley. Let me know what you think. Till we meet again, let's go see what's in the fridge.